Am I audible now? Hope am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible.
All right. Sorry for the inconvenience. Actually,
Yes.
we're in like a coastal area, so here we have some drastic climate change. That's why. Fine then. So let's continue. So I was explaining about your conceptual vapors, right? Yes or no? Any response, guys?
I think we lost you during the review articles.
Okay. Review article is nothing but some teaching literature, like it's review, research, like commenting over the research papers, like reading 100 to 150 papers and commenting over the research and suggesting something new through descriptive way. Like it's a qualitative research. That is what we call as review article. And conceptual papers. For conceptual paper, let me give you an example. Let's say I want to, as a startup, I want to build a massive spaceship that can carry up to 100 astronauts to Mars. So in that case, practically constructing that kind of spaceship is not feasible, right? In terms of materials, in terms of structure, in terms of cost, it's not possible, right? As a startup or for any startup, right? So in that case, so we'll be proposing concepts. Either we can provide the CAD model of the design, we can provide dimensional analysis, we can do some CFD analysis to propose the concepts along with the results. So that is what we call as conceptual papers. I hope I've already shown you a few of our research works. Basically, the habitation system proposed for Mars. So that is the conceptual work. Okay, am I clear?
Yes.
All right. So collaboratively research review on conceptual papers if we present at some technical event and publish it at proceedings. So those papers are called conference papers. So as a early career researcher, so if you are a very beginner, fresher to this research community, and you want to do some sort of publication first, then definitely you can go for conference publication. You'll get more knowledge, you'll gain more insights. In addition, you'll get more opportunity to expand your network and you'll get opportunity for collaboration as well. So these are all called 5 types of research papers basically. And yeah, the significance of structuring your paper. Can anybody answer me? Like, why should we give importance or significance to structure a paper? It's open to anyone. Anyone can answer if you know anything.
For more clarity,
Okay. Any other points? Fine. So let me explain you. So if you look back, or if you look at the papers published between 1900 or 1940 to 1980, or if like I'm talking about the papers of 90s, so those papers are very complex to read as well as very complex to understand. Okay, nowadays the way researchers define their research is uh, it's exceptionally brilliant actually. Like they're using graphs, illustrative charts. So it's all about clarity. Okay, so um, whatever research, whatever invention, or whatever discovery we do, we should communicate those things technically through paper. So in that case, we need to focus more on clarity. So if you focus on structuring your paper well, then that will improve clarity as well as readability, and it will convey your research effectively, as well as we should focus more on logical flow of arguments. For example, if you write a review article, for example, if you state some sort of questions in the introduction part or scientific background part or any other section, so in the upcoming session, you have to answer those questions effectively. So what I'm trying to say is you have to maintain the logical sequence. Okay, like asking question at the bottom and answering the same question at the top. So it should not be like that. You should maintain the logical sequence. I hope you guys understand my point, right? Yes? No? Any response?
Yes, sir.
Fine then. So let's move to the sections of paper, top sections of a paper. So basically, this is a very basic sections of any paper. It may be a review article, conceptual article, research article, or preprint. So title, abstract, followed by literature review or earlier works, and then scientific background, research methods, acknowledgement of data or any sort of sensitive information, followed by research, analysis, results, discussion, conclusion, and references. If you want, you can just make a note of it, or else if you want, I can share this slide in the group for reference. So these are all very basic section of any papers. Okay, and let's move to the title of a paper. So, can anybody tell like how researchers tend to finalize or define the research titles of any paper they write? Any ideas or comments? Everyone's response is appreciated. So, if you know any, unmute yourself and talk, please.
It's the topic and their usage, isn't it?
Yeah, one minute, please. Once again.
It's the topic about what they are trying to do and its
Okay.
applications. Generally, that's the most basic we see.
Uh, Fine. Next.
Like they can show where the research focus and scope is. So that's how they can define the title.
Perfect. Correct. So let me explain. So nowadays, you know everything. Like we have multiple journals, we have multiple papers, and we are having multiple publications, millions of publications every month. In that case, if we don't choose our title wisely, then we may be ending up with clashes, title clashes. Yeah, so in order to avoid those things, so what I'm trying to say is, so this is my opinion. So your title should reflect research novelty. Okay. For example, if you are doing a research, your title itself should show the novelty as well as applications. Okay. Novelty and applications at the same time. And you have to use keywords, good scientific keywords, or more in terms of technical perspective, you should use some complex keyword to avoid those title clashes. For example, I've given one title here, a comparative study on orbital launch systems for human missions to Moon and Mars. Okay, so this title can be remodified. or it can be simply written as a comparative study of rockets for human missions. That's all. That will create clashes, title clashes. So what I have done is just I've descriptively expanded the title with some keywords. I hope you guys can understand what I'm trying to say with the title of a paper. So instead of rockets, I have replaced it as orbital launch systems. And so here, the research novelty is a comparative study of all the rockets that is suggested for human missions to Moon and Mars. Like research novelty plus applications. I hope you guys are getting my point.
Yes.
Yep, got it.
All right, fine then. So after title, so we are moving to abstract part. So here, what are all factors matters is the first thing is length and concise summary, introduce the topic, highlight key findings, your unique contribution, maintain simplicity, precision is the key. Let me give you an example. So in the abstract, what is abstract? Can anybody tell me what is abstract? What should we write basically in the abstract section?
That can be said as a short summary of what we are doing in the research and what is shown in the research paper.
Exactly. So that's it. Okay, so the abstract part you should keep it very short and precise. Okay, so aim for 300 to 500 words. Introduce the topic. So, so in the abstract section, you should not write some definitions. For example, if you do some research on rocket, you should not write what is rocket in the abstract section. Like you can simply write your abstract as this paper explains a comparison of all the launch vehicles designed by so and so space agencies, and the aim of the paper is to propose bigger rockets or like um, some few number of rockets proposed for sending cargoes or humans to Mars or so and so destinations. So that's all. You have to keep it very precise and very simple. You can write up to 100 words or up to 300 to 500 words. Do not exaggerate your abstract part. So that's the thing. And in the abstract section in itself, you have to highlight your key findings. For example, after studying these many launch vehicles, we have seen that these one, two, three, for example, Falcon Heavy, Starship, okay, and then Titan 4. So these are all names of rockets. These rockets are capable enough to deliver massive payloads to any orbit, and so that is what we call as highlight the key findings. And just like write a few lines about the uniqueness of your research work, like in one line or two line. Okay, so these are all things you need to consider while writing abstract part. Basically, all the researchers used to write abstract in the first instant itself. So my suggestion is do not focus on abstract at first. Write introduction, create your main content, the body of the paper, write conclusion. Now, based on the information provided between introduction and conclusion, now focus on the abstract part. Then only you can write a compelling, a good abstract. Okay. In addition to this, abstract determines whether a paper to be read or not. For example, if I am a research professional, I deal with multiple activities and I don't have time to read research paper, right? So if I look for papers for my research, then definitely I'll read the abstract part for the title and abstract first. So based on the content given in the title and abstract, I'll decide whether I need to read the entire paper or not. Okay, this is how the title and abstract determines the readability of your paper and the number of research works, the number of researchers uh, who uh, who will read your paper, and the abstract and title determines the research significance in terms of citation. See, for example, if 1000 readers read your paper, so there are chances some 10 researcher may use your data or may cite your paper in their work. So once their paper gets published, you will get 10 citations. And once you get your citation, you'll be having your H index, you'll be having your top 10 index. So it will drastically increase your research significance, right? I hope you guys are getting my point. Any response, guys?
Yes, I got you.
All right, fine. Thanks for responding. So, in simple term, we need to focus more on title and abstract first. And fine, so let's move on to literature review section. So, there are multiple ways to write a research review or earlier works on any research. So, before writing the literature review part, you need to consider four things. The first thing is identifying research gaps. So here what I have given is review existing literature to pinpoint areas lacking sufficient exploration or understanding. So what I'm trying to say is, so if you read multiple papers, so if you want to do a good research, you should not limit your readings up to 2 papers or 4 papers. The better would be if you read more papers, you'll gain more insights, you'll gain more knowledge, and you'll come to know what are all scientific facts that lacking between this research and this research, and that will stimulate you to do actual research work. What we need to do to bridge these gaps. So that's what I'm trying to say. If you read multiple papers, you'll come to know what are all research facts are lacking. And yeah, the next thing is evaluate existing research. So if you read those papers, you will come to know what are all pros and cons or what are all limitations associated with those research works or those research papers. And you'll come to know like what are all challenges we have, what are all actual challenges we have right now in doing research. And these will help you to do research and identify some impactful findings leading to impactful research. Am I clear?
So just one question.
Yeah.
In our paper, like I'm reading 12 literature reviews.
Okay.
Just like in my final year college project, we have to mention all the literature reviews which we have gone through for our projects.
Mm-hmm.
So just like for my research paper, like I have read 12 research papers, but only 8 of them were, very helpful for me for the next, what I am trying to publish. So should
Okay.
I mention all 12 or only 8 of them?
See, the thing
In my
is, it's not about how many papers you read. Like it's about how many papers were actually used to execute your research. Like how you said,
Yeah, that's what
out of
I'm
out
asking.
of
So I,
12, eight out
yeah,
of 12 papers, only 8 papers will help you to articulate your research, right? In that case, you have to mention only those 8 papers.
sure.
Okay, so we should not write random references in any research works. That will degrade the research quality and integrity. Okay,
Sure.
fine then. Now let's move to the scientific background. I hope you guys have seen the slide, like where I have mentioned abstract, title, introduction, scientific background, the top sections of a paper. So in that sequence, now the sequence is like scientific background. So can anybody explain what is scientific background?
You have already put it on the slide, sir.
Yeah, it's already there, but definitely you can read the same. I'm okay with this. And if you know anything, if you want to explain with some example, that's also appreciated. I just want to hear something from you. Like the more we interact, the more we learn. Like as I stated in the first session. So if you keep asking me, you learn many things. So let me brief you. The scientific background and literature review are very similar. The difference is we'll be writing literature review in descriptive form in simple terms, and the same thing we'll be writing in technical perspective in scientific terms. That is what we call a scientific background. It's very easy actually. For example, if I want to do a research on rocket technology, definitely I'll be reading rocket propulsion and elements written by I think Sutton. For if I read that those paper, then definitely I'll be using the rocket equation. The syllabus is rocket equation, right? So in that particular case study or in that particular research paper, I'll write like I've read this paper and I'll be using this equation, and this equation remains the prime pillar or the key payload or the key equation or the key what to say the key component of this research. So that is what we call a scientific background. In addition to this, if I do a data analysis kind of paper, in that case I'll be using some estimation methods or analysis method, right? So that estimation method I'll be writing descriptively in the scientific background. Okay. So background information is very important, guys. For example, if you are a fresher and if you are writing your first paper, if you are submitting it to a journal or conferences, if you include this kind of information in your paperwork, then definitely it will help reviewers and technical chairs to determine how proficient you are in your research, and it will help them to understand the logical flow that I've already explained associated with your research work. Am I clear?
Yep, you're clear.
Yes, sir.
Alright. So scientific background is not mandatory for all the research paper, but definitely for first few publication, I recommend everyone to use this particular title for your research work. And yes, then selecting effective research methods. So the research methodology, the section name is research methodology. In simple terms, it should explain or it should brief whatever methods you're following or whatever methods you have executed to do this research. For example, let's say I'm doing some data analysis. In that case, I'll be collecting my first method is I'll be collecting data from where from so and so database, XYZ database. That is first method. And the second method is all the data sources or all the data are not legit. I need to refine, I need to filter out data. That is my second step. And the third step is I'll be sorting those data based on different categories. So that is my third step. And the fourth step is I'll be using certain analysis method or any formulas. That is my fourth method. And the fifth method is I'll be getting some result. So with the result, I'll be generating the error bars and I'll be adjusting the result. So these five methods are called research methods. The five steps whatever I've explained is called as research methods. So in this method you can talk about research databases, you can talk about tools, you can talk about any experimental methods, you can talk about any experimental components you have used. For example, uh, like when we go to our laboratory, so there we have some experimental tools, right? The apparatus. lab apparatus. So you can talk about those things. It's in simple terms, just explaining the methods, how I have executed my research works. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it also say, like this slide is also important for like how I have explained. Like if you are a fresher, if you are adding all these things, then definitely it will help reviewers to understand what all steps you have followed, and that will help them to follow the same step to validate your research. Okay, and that will increase the probability of paper acceptance. Okay, now let's move to the next section, acknowledging your data sources effectively. I hope I've already explained this thing. So wherever any data you take from any sources, it may be a single fact numbers, or it may be a descriptive content, it may be images, it may be an entire data set, or any sort of illustrative chart. From wherever you take, you have to ensure that you acknowledge all the sources properly without missing. Either you can add like image source, image credit, image courtesy below all the images, or table source, table courtesy below all the tables. And if you have any facts, descriptive contents, you can include those all the sources as part of reference numbers. So this is very important. How this acknowledgement helps reviewers? Let's see. For example, you have done some analysis work, you have collected some data samples, and if you provide this information, acknowledgement information, and if you are submitting this paper to any journal, definitely that particular reviewer will follow the same information sources to cross check your data, to cross check your result. So that is what we call as verification, data validation. Okay, and yeah, it will also increase your research credibility. Like proper acknowledgement boosts the credibility of your research and findings. For example, if I am proposing a data sets of 10,000 data samples and you are citing my research, once your paper gets published, I'll receive a notification. Like somebody has cited your work. In that case, I'll look or I'll read your paper. In that case, you will gain more visibility or credibility. So these are all importance of acknowledgement. Am I clear? Yes. No.
Yes, sir. You are.
All right. Fine. So
Yes.
now the thing is overview of
Yes,
research. Yeah, overview of research findings. I hope my slide is changing whenever I explain. Right.
Yes, sir.
Now after data sources or
yes,
acknowledgement,
sir.
you have to write a section called overview of your research. So here you have to provide a clear overview of your findings. You can use some visual aids such as illustrative charts, graphical informations like graphs, images, whatever you have. And my suggestion is it's always recommended to use illustrative graphs and images rather than writing brief descriptive contents. For example, the same case itself. If any professionals encounters your paper, if they look at your paper graphs, illustrative charts, so definitely they will come to know what this research talk about. Okay, and that will determine like whether they have to read the entire paper or not. And if you write more descriptive content or your research in a more descriptive way, basically it will bore researchers, right? So everybody will lose interest to read the entire paper. The same thing we experience while reading our course books or academic books, right?
Right.
Here we have to consider the psychology behind the writing actually. So that is what we call as illustrative charts, like visualizing all the information either in the form of images, charts, or color codes, so on. So this is very important. And then finally, like explaining your results. So whenever you write your result part or the conclusion part, so you have to consider few factors in mind. Okay. The first thing is implication of findings. The second thing is significance of your result, future research direction. For example, if you find something like how this result can be executed in real life and what's the importance of this result compared to all the previous and existing research technologies. In addition to this, you have to write few points about your research direction. Let's say I found something with I've created a machine, or I've created a motor vehicle, or some jet engine, let's say, or some propulsion engine that operates at 85 to 90% efficiency. Okay, and now I'm talking about the future research direction. So, in like considering this point in mind, I'm writing. So, as part of this research, so we'll be doing or we'll be following few more research methodologies to increase the efficiency of this rocket engine up to 90 to 95% or 90 to 98% in future. So we are planning to do more research following this research work in the upcoming decades. So this is what we call as future research directions, and that will that will create a impression to your readers. They'll eagerly wait for your next research. In that case, you'll be gaining more visibility and credibility of all the research work. Am I correct?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Yes.
And one more thing I forgot to mention. So whenever you try to explain your results, so just try to compare those research works or the findings with your previous research works, yours or others. And you have to show the uniqueness of your thing, of the research findings. And now, now the conclusion part. Let's talk about the conclusion part. So following research, like the result section, we have conclusion section. So I have jumped here. You can see this thing actually. So first we have discussed title, abstract, literature review, scientific background, research methods, acknowledgement, overview of research, results, and conclusion. I'll explain other things in the upcoming slides. So whenever you write the conclusion part, you have to recap the main findings first, and the second thing is you have to explain the significance of your study, and same thing, future research direction. So we already have all this information in the result section. So here you have to write those information technically, and here you have to write all the information just in simple description, like anybody can read. Any if some common people or some normal or non-professionals, people who are not researchers, if they read your paper, like in their tone, you have to write in the conclusion part. So it's very same, similar to results and conclusion part. Let me explain the other things. Significance of properly citing references. I hope that I've already explained. So if you add references properly, then that will help researchers, like especially reviewers, to validate. And the second thing is citing.
Your voice is breaking. A little bit, sir.
Is it clear now?
Yes, you are clear. You
Yes.
just got disconnected for a little bit of time when you were explaining the conclusion section.
So what I was trying to say is the content is very similar. Um, if you talk about result and conclusion, so in the result section, you will be explaining all the three factors in a technical way, and in the conclusion section, you'll be writing the same content in non-technical way. Okay, and yeah, so let me give you explain you about the significance of properly citing references. These I've already explained. It will help researchers to keep a track of your works and all the references, whatever you have referred or used to validate the research work. And the second thing is citation requirements vary from papers to papers. If you talk about research papers, the number of references vary from 10 to 15, 10 to 20. And if you talk about conceptual papers, the reference numbers vary from 5 to 10 or less than 10. And if you talk about review paper, it varies from 100 to 150 or more than 150. Okay, so this is citation requirements. So based on the type of paper. And the third thing is consistency is key. I hope we have seen or we have learned about the citation format which we are using while writing a document. If you are using APA format of citation style for drafting your work, so you have to follow the same APA format of citation style to, to your entire paper. So these are all significance of citing references. Now, now the question is, can anybody explain or can anybody comment why research papers or draft from early career researchers like you, me, from UG background or a PG background, let's say at the first year of our PhD program, the papers get rejectance from conferences or journals. Anybody have any experience in this?
Not any experience, although from what I could see and what I have experienced from my time over here is that it is mostly to do with credibility. The credibility is at question very much. As a result, things get turned down in favor of more credible research
Yes.
or more credible people.
Mhm. Okay. So if I talk about some basic information, you can see all these things over the slides here. The first thing is over exaggerating our findings. So whatever, even if we find something small, so as a new researcher, it's our first research, right? So if we find something new, then we'll feel like a scientist. In that case, we'll be exaggerating our research works. So that won't work in terms of paper acceptance. So we have to write or explain the fact, whatever it is. Okay. And the second thing is improper citation practices. So as I'm also serving as an editor, so in my experience, when I review multiple papers, I can see the citation format the author uses tends to be in different format, and that will put me in a challenging situation to track those papers while reviewing any papers. So that is one case of that is also serves as a factor of paper rejectance. And the third thing is neglecting structure and formatting of paper. Like if you see the papers of experts and professionals, so they won't focus on structuring paper. Whatever they write, they tend to submit it to some journal, And of course, yes, their paper gets accepted, but ours not, because they are experts and professionals. They do have research background and publication background, so people will know, like, uh, whatever they write, there must be some new findings, right? So in our case, we should focus more on the structure and formatting part, like, um uh, yeah, the section, including all the sections, numbering the images, numbering the tables, numbering graphs, adding references, linking all the references internally to internal contents. So everything matters here. And the last thing is clarity and coherence. So clarity, you guys know. And the next thing is we need to maintain the logical flow, like how have I already explained. If you're talking about, if you're raising a question in the first section, you have to answer for the questions in the upcoming sections properly without any gaps. So these are all main factors that results in paper rejectance. Okay, I hope you guys understand my point.
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, and let me give some other points. So anybody have any questions?
So one question. Till now, I haven't published any research paper. Sorry, I haven't made a research paper till now and published it all. So just like now, I make a research, do a research and make a research paper, and somehow it get published from a good organization. So from next time, if I do some research, will I be considered more than others, like who are freshers?
I got your question, but not completely. Can you explain? Can you
like
continue more?
uh, like you have published some research papers, right? You have already published some research paper. I am a fresher.
Okay,
Okay, so
okay,
me and you both are doing research on same topic. Okay,
okay,
so
okay.
let's take an example on airfoils. Okay,
So
so
you are like, let me repeat. So you are a fresher. You are doing a research. I'm an expert. I'm doing research, but we are working on the same domain and same
yeah,
research.
yeah.
And if you are publishing a paper, you're asking me, like, will I get the same credibility? Like how I get.
Credibility in the sense like who has a more chance of getting published or getting accepted by some conference and all.
See, everything is double blinded peer review, like nobody knows
Okay,
what kind of research works you are submitting to any journal. So
okay,
if you are submitting, if you are completing your research and submitting it to some journals or conferences first, then definitely the chances of getting it published for you is first.
okay.
Mhm.
So it's not confirmed, right? We it just depend on our work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And now, so since we are having a weekly session, I would like to show a few tools. 1 second. Yeah, I just want to quickly mention the tools for whatever, like what are all tools we can use for writing the content. I hope you guys can see my slide.
Yes.
Okay. So for reading and writing, the first one is Scholarly. Like, that is the AI tool. You can upload your articles whatever you have. It will summarize your content. So if you really don't have time to read your paper, you can use this platform. But my recommendation is, please read your paper manually so that you will understand all the aspects scientific keywords, scientific tone, and the scientific structure of all the papers. So this is my recommendation. Manual reading is best compared to automated or AI based reading. And for writing things, if you are new, if you don't know about structuring a paper, then definitely you can go for Microsoft Word. And if you are an expert in writing a paper or documenting the thing, then you can go for latex and overlay. So simple coding skill is required to write your content and include your formulas, everything. So this is basic suggestion, basic tools. You can just make a note of it. And yeah, for question and answers, let's say while reading paper you have some sort of question in your mind and you want to find answers for those questions. In that case, you can use all these three tools: consensus, elicit, and cite. Just you have to upload the paper, you have to ask the question, it will answer. Okay, fine. So these are all AI tools. You can create account on your own using Gmails. You can just make a note of these tools, and then for searching relevant papers, I've already suggested we have connected papers, research rabbit, and light maps. So this you can use. And for, let's say you have written some content and you want to go for plagiarism checking in grammar we can do it using AI tools. And for plagiarism you can use free tools such as small SEO tools, plagiarism checker. Like you can check up to 1,000 words for free. And if you have your institutional based subscription, you can go for Scribber, Trinka, and Grammarly. Okay, free tool is small SEO tools that is recommended initially, but some university has access to Scribber, Trinka, and Grammarly for free if you have your institutional email address. Just cross check once. If you have access, go for these tools, or else you can rely on these small SEO tools. And there is one more tool called Plagiarism Checker X that can be downloaded from getintopc.com. You can track that particular software and you can use that software for checking plagiarism for your entire content. Okay, and yeah, for referencing, so as of now my recommendation is go for manual referencing system, like just copy pasting the APA format from Google Scholar to your document. And if you want to make your reference page in a very professional way, then definitely you can go for these three tools: Mendeley, EndNote, and RefWorks. So everything is AI based, so it's very easy to use. You can just cross check once. And yeah, for like I've already talked about that tools, those tools that we can use for grammar and plagiarism checking, right? So now when it comes to entire manuscript, let's say you have completed your entire report, now you want to go for a final check. In that case we can use these three tools. The first one is Turnitin. It's not free. Once again I'm repeating, Turnitin is not free. If you have institutional email, you can cross check once whether you have access or not. If you have, then you can use this first tool, Turnitin. So this first tool is used by most of the research professionals across the globe to check their review, research, and all kind of paper. So if you if you request your professor, then definitely they'll be having access to this Turnitin. So you can check your manuscript by requesting them. And the second one is Authenticate. So designed for research scholars and publishers. Publisher in the sense, if we are having a journal, so we'll be receiving multiple manuscripts once. So it will be difficult for us to check each and every manuscript separately, right? In that case, we will be using our Authenticate to check plagiarism level initially whenever we receive submission. So if you have access through your institutional email, you can go for both the software, or else you can go for plagiarism checker X that can be downloaded online. And yes, now the question is, I'll share a few pics of articles where researchers or publishers have encountered AI based contents in their research papers. Okay, even in Scopus journals, Scopus Q1 and Q2 journals. And now publishers are working on multiple technologies to detect AI based content to increase the quality of research and maintain integrity. So in that case, if you want to eliminate AI based content from your paper or report, then you can use these two tools, SciSpace and Quillbot. So there is an option called checking AI content or AI detector. You can just copy paste your content, it will tell you like a highlighted content is AI one and non-highlighted content is humanized one. So based on that particular information, you can customize your or reframe your content. Okay. And for graphing and analysis, it's it's always best Origin Pro. You can go for Origin Pro. That software also you can download it. Can be downloaded from getintopc.com. So you have a simple interface to create your graphs. It's very similar to Microsoft Excel, and you have all the formulas integrated to it. Like you don't have to write or insert your formulas. Okay, once you collect your information or data, you can sort it out, you can select the data, you can execute any kind of simulation, you can generate graphs, you can generate error bars, you can generate reports, you can customize your results in multiple formats like this. You can see you can generate bar graphs, line graphs, polar graphs, thermal maps, probability plots. So you can generate all kind of graphs or maps like this if you select Origin Pro. And if you are expert, then definitely you can go for MATLAB and other tools. So these are all tools I wanted to suggest. I hope everyone noted it down.